But here we are at last with Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Blue Rescue Team. I'll just let Likeanoob take it from here.
Hey everyone, how's it going today? Like Garfield said, I am Likeanoob100, and this is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team. I'm gonna just hop right into it and explain stuff as we go, because if you've ever played this game, you know that this is a very story-driven game that has a lot of what I like to call cutscenes in it. So I'm just gonna start going. I'm not sure if we have someone on timer, but I'm gonna count down from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alrighty. Like I said, this is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team, and I'm going to be doing a category that is called Save and Quit, No Wonder Mail. And that's a lot of jargon for the categories in this game, because there's been a good amount of schism with how we play this video game, based on do we want to use Wonder Mails, do you want to use RNG manipulation, all that stuff. And this is kind of a mix of using mechanics in a way that helps us but doesn't feel like we're cheating. And of course that's all super subjective, but I'm gonna get into that as I go. As for our starter and partner combo, we are going to do Meowth as our starter and Squirtle as our partner. And there's many reasons why we do this. This game has actually gone through many changes throughout the years, and we've kind of settled on these two for this particular category, and I'll kind of just point them out as we go along the speedrun, and not to just kind of unload information on you guys all at once. But this is our first Mystery Dungeon. If you've never played a Mystery Dungeon title, basically the idea behind it is you get thrown into a randomly generated world, and you're tasked to find these stairs right here. And you go through the stairs, you go up a floor. You keep doing that until you beat the dungeon. This is the first dungeon we have to go through. 6. And it's only 3 floors, so it's pretty short. And usually what we're trying to do here is just try to find the stairs as fast as possible. And sometimes, just because of how these floors are laid out, this doesn't really happen for us. As you can see here, ooh, execute? Oh my goodness. But that would be, you know, good old Pokemon RNG there, not getting great RNG there. Let me just... Alrighty. Yeah, so we're going to do one screen here, even though this is a DS game, mostly because, like chat has already kind of talked about a little bit, the top screen's really, like, maybe 1% to 5% of this game, and it really only has the ability of, like, looking at maps and looking at other things. But anyway, we're out of this dungeon. I'm very upset, not upset, but I'm very disappointed that I had the luck that I had, mostly because there's this cool little tech that I could have showed you guys if I decreased the amount of XP that I got throughout the first couple of dungeons. But looking at that, I had to fight an Execute, which is 45 experience on its own, and I had to fight a lot of other enemies thrown in there a lot. I'm not sure I'll be able to show you guys, but if I can, I'll make sure that does happen. Don't worry. Let's just ignore the fact that I hit refuse on that. I definitely didn't refuse to join a rescue team, because that'd be amazing to join a rescue team. But anyway, a little bit of the story stuff. As you can see, we kind of got plopped into the world. Our good old trusty partner found us, and we got thrown right into our first mystery dungeon, and now my good old friend Squirtle wants to join our former rescue team with us, so we're going to do that. The next couple of minutes is kind of a little bit of dry exposition, but I can spend this time to talk a little bit about what we really mean by save and quit, and what we really mean by no wonder mail, because those are two very important parts of the run that will be showed off and showcased very soon here. No wonder mail is the easiest to explain, just because like we're just not going to use wonder mail. And in the any% anything goes category, we do use Wonder Mail, and that allows us to do some really creative and fun things. But it also, at least to some of the community, makes it feel a little like, leaves a little bad taste in the mouth, you know, about, is this really like cheating? Because that's really, you can really get any item you want from Wonder Mail, because there's Wonder Mail generator codes that exist. For those who don't know what Wonder Mail is, a little bit later in this game, we'll get the tutorial to talk about jobs and how to do jobs. And what Wonder Mail basically is it's creating those custom jobs. It's a really cool feature, actually, for like replayability value. You can create your own missions, you can create your own little challenges for yourself. But in speedrunning late terms, we can really just abuse that to get some overpowered endgame stuff really early into the game. So doing the no Wonder Mail is just a little bit of, you know, a more traditional way to play the game. Maybe a little bit less feels like you're cheating the game. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, the save and quit, or S+Q in most titles, signifies that we're going to be saving and quitting the game. The significance behind this is that by saving and quitting, we can actually predict what our RNG is going to be. So like, for example, I'm quick saving here, and because I quick save here, the game kind of like loses the understanding of where the RNG was in this dungeon, and from that I can just really know where the stairs are, and after I know where the stairs are, I can really find the most important or most fastest route to go into the stairs. And there's the technical ways of explaining this is basically like, imagine that when you enter a dungeon, that RNG that determines how floor layouts go is like a seed, like a string of numbers, and that number is cached for the entirety of the rest of the dungeon, so it can refer back to it. And when you quick save and re-enter a dungeon, that cache number can't really be read anymore. Like, the game doesn't understand what that number is now, so it defaults to like not a random, but like a set, like, default fallback seed, which is like, you know, 0, 0, 0 repeating or whatever. And that's how we know where the stairs and stuff are. Yeah, so like, that's how the basis of the RNG works, and we're going to be using that a lot throughout the whole game to get through the game as fast as we possibly can. And the people saying sour please in the chat earlier before this run about the save and quit category, I see you, and I understand that, you know, my RNG manipulation, but I think that's what really revived this game for me in terms of replayability, in terms of a speedrun setting. Because after a certain point, it just feels like you're hitting your head against the wall. I know a lot of speedrunners have that idea, sometimes that block of like, I don't know how to improve my time anymore. And I think turning this game into a very reactionary focused game, into a game that requires a lot of memorization and a lot of raw input skill, excuse me, has really let this game really shine in terms of how polished a speedrun of it can be. So anyway, this is the jobs tutorial. Right now, I'm going to be picking up some jobs if I'm able to. There's 3 different types of jobs I can get. There are the wanted, like an item wanted, which is the best one out of the 3, because it does not mean like that we have to go and talk to anybody or see anybody. We just have to make sure that item is in our inventory. So I had 1 wanted mission and 4 regular missions, is what I like to call them, regular. And the regular missions are just like the default ones, like, okay, go find me inside of a dungeon and go rescue me. All fine and good. The problem with those in terms of a speedrun setting is that they can be really slow just in terms of executing them. Usually there's like, you have to go find the person, and then you have to do huge old dialogue saying, "Oh yeah, you found me, thank you so much," kind of deal. With wanted, like, missions, or any of these, yeah, with wanted missions, there really isn't, let me turn this up. Yeah, sorry. Things are happening in my head, I have to react to them. But, with wanted missions, we really, don't have to talk to anyone. Like you saw here, I only rescued one guy, and I left. But since I had an orangeberry in my inventory, I was able to do that mission, and then have execute, be rescued as well. So those are my 2 missions of the day. How this game handles mission objectives is usually they make you do a story quest or story event, and then they make you do a couple of missions. With the idea of, you know, having the illusion of time passing, like, there's usually, at least when I was a young child playing this game for the first time, I didn't have the idea of trying to do multiple missions at once. So I really would like to do 1 mission a day, leave, 1 mission a day, leave, and that would kind of emulate the idea of time passing. That was that's what I'm assuming the developers were going for there. But, rather it be by not having the foresight, or just wanting to have this little idea into their game. If you do more than 1 mission at a time, you can progress the story much faster. And it depends, the amount of missions you have to do depends on, like, where I am in the story. So, like, right now, I only had to do 2 missions for Doug Trio, my friend here, to bust through my floor and be like, "Hey, can you save my son Diglett?" And of course, the adventurers we are, we're gonna be like, "Yeah, we're gonna go and save Diglett. It's a great idea." Our trio was a friend indeed. So, Mount Steel is notorious for being just terrible in terms of floor layouts. I prefer to have the map screen on top, which is too bad, which is probably my fault for not letting you guys see what's happening map-wise. But, sometimes it's just like one-way corridors, and we can't really control where the stairs are. I'm gonna let you fight that. No. But, one of the things that's a really cool tech in this game is that the boss on this dungeon actually has, enough XP gained for you to level up twice if you were within a certain XP range. But I think because of the amount of people, or the amount of Pokemon I've had to fight, let me just look real quick. Yeah, it's way too much. Yeah, for the amount of Pokemon I fight, I don't think I can show that off, which is unfortunate. So, let me talk a little bit about Meowth. The reason why we get Meowth is, it has a really cool ability called Pickup, which basically means that any floor you're not holding an item on, you have a chance to pick up a random item that can be found on that floor. So, that also is in line with the RNG manipulation, like it's within that seed. So as long as we have an item available on certain floors, we can figure out which, like, items we can pick up on each floor, possibility-wise. And then we can do that to pick up pretty good items. Like there, I picked up a Petrify Orb on floor 4. I'm trying to remember where this is. Okay. And we'll be using that throughout, not only to pick up good items that we have, but also to affect the manipulation in very slight ways. Because for most of this routing, it's been a lot of, I wouldn't say trial and error, but smart estimation in terms of, like, what strats we can do, and what works and what doesn't. And we have found that, like, the pickup activating changes how the Pokemon behave a little bit. And obviously it didn't really matter on that 4th floor when I picked up that Petrify Orb because I spawned right next to the stairs. But on more complex floors, more complex dungeons later on, it'll become a very very cool ability that we can have in our arsenal. And now we're at the legendary meme of Diglett's feet. How did the Magnemites like allow Diglett to come down there? Like what's underneath there? You really don't know. So yeah, of course, in these, I have a ton of cutscenes here. If I don't have anything to talk about, if you guys have questions, you can ask me. I can elaborate a little bit on stuff. I'm gonna answer the question of Meowth a little bit. When Skitty is very broken in a vacuum, normal types are very buffed. Double Slap is a very, like multi-hit moves in general, like Double Slap are very overpowered in this game because they kind of don't have that accuracy nerf that they have in the later Pokemon game, or Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games at least. And so we always use Skitty for the no save and quit runs, and then when we figured out that this manipulation is possible, we kind of just migrated Skitty over. And not until very much later, until Huma's DS entered this community, did we really figure out that, you know, Meowth is a really good option because of the pickup ability. But anyway, this is our second big day in the town, I guess. This is very much so that the time I'm going to be doing a lot of my shopping, because this is a marathon run and I want to prioritize safety over anything else. We are going to go into the shop and sell a couple of the items that we picked up from the trio, which would be like the scarf, the Ginsig, not even Ginsig, I think it's Ginsig. But I'm looking for Reviver Seeds, and no Reviver Seeds right there. That's nice. Let's check Frustration for the meme. Oh, what? Okay. I don't have enough money. What? Okay. So... Insig. Okay. Alrighty. So, for those who do not know, back in the good old days of not really fully understanding the manipulation and all other stuff, we would try to fish for a Frustration TM, because we knew how good Frustration was in general, but we did not know where to find it inside the actual dungeon. So we're just like, okay, if we find it in a Kecleon shop, we can go find it. I believe that one time, at one point there was a run that had a Frustration TM, incorporated, we had routes before, the full utilization of this current route we have, that, took account for, finding random Frustration TMs in shops. And I just chose to look for it for the meme, and I found it, so... see what that does. If this was 2015, I would sell literally my whole inventory to buy that Frustration TM, because that's how good Frustration is in this game. And when we get closer to getting a Frustration TM, I'll explain why that is, and why we are so obsessed with Frustration. So we got this cutscene, yeah, whatever. But before I do more missions, I'm actually gonna go look for, more jobs. Because how this game works, we're gonna get to a point in the run where we can't check the job board. And, I want to get my missions lined up, so when I get to that point in the game, I'm already, I don't have to stress, I don't have to fret. And part of the reason why I'm fishing for jobs so bad now, outside of just trying to get them done with now and over with, is because it's actually better overall to look for them sooner. Because I only have three, like, dungeons open to me right now. Therefore, in the shop, in the job board, I can only have 3 dungeons of missions presented to me, since there's like a max of 8 that can be on the board at any given time. It's better for me to go and check, like, right now. And also, while I'm here, I'm going to gulp in and I'm going to link some moves. If you don't know this game very well, or if you've never played this game before, you might not know what linked moves are. It basically allows us to... I'm gonna just get all of them. It basically allows us to use more than one move at a time, which, like, is incredibly broken. The trade-off that they suggest is that, if you run out of PP in any of the moves, it'll delink, so you kind of have to, like, manage your PP a little bit better. Of course, in a speedrun setting, you know, especially in ones like that's so controlled like this one is, PP will never be a problem. So linking moves is only going to help us in the long run, because it just allows us to not have them attack us more. I've never played a Shyren game, I'm going to be honest with you, but I believe if that might be a feature that comes from Mystery Dungeon games like Shyren the Wanderer. Or Shirin the Wanderer. I can't pronounce names worth of garbage, and I'm sorry if I've mispronounced anything in this run. But yeah. Another thing you might have noticed is that I did quick save in this mission route when I did not in the previous dungeon, Tiny Woods. There's a really good reason to that. Tiny Woods is a 3-floor dungeon, and it's actually better on average to just YOLO the Tiny Woods and hope you get a good floor. And, like, of course, in an optimized run of any percent, we don't quick save at all because we just get lucky, like, over and over and over and over again. But, like, there's only one person in the world, I think, that would, like, actually attempt quote-unquote 80% runs that wouldn't be, like, no Wonder Mail, or, like, no quick saving. And it's the same man who did the series race about a month and a half ago. Yeah, we did some Thunderwave Cave missions. We did 3 this time, because after 3, there will be a cutscene in the front of our house with Gengar. If you were paying a little bit of attention to the story while I was rambling on, you saw Gengar a little in the background doing some shady stuff, and we are his target now. This is Team Meanies, as you will see, or like later in the run, and they're bad people. They're the antagonist, quote unquote. The closest thing this game has to an antagonist, I guess, and very much universally hated in terms of Mystery Dungeon fans. At least their actions in the media that you will see in this run. But after these 3 missions, we have to do another 2 before we can actually go to a new dungeon. A new story-led dungeon. So we're going to go into Tiny Woods real quick and do another 2 missions. Is he in this floor? No, he's not in this room. That feels bad. Yeah, sometimes the clients don't spawn next to the stairs, so you have to go look for them. Are we gonna tickle Zatu this run? Heck, I'll tickle Zatu this run, if you guys are down for it. Of course, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We will get to the tickling. Alright, here's a little cool thing. Just animations-wise, it's actually faster since I see the stairs to just go straight through the stairs and not get beamed up. Just because, like, the text of getting the beam and, like, getting, like, baby Star Trek back up is, decently slow, especially if you can just go right through the stairs there. It's a very minor time save, but it's something I like addressing, because it's a little speed tech, and I like speed techs of this game, specifically. So now, I'm gonna look at my job, I need a Peccaberry, so I'm gonna do a little bit of item management. I don't need, like, any of this, realistically, so I'm gonna get rid of all of it. The reason why I'm getting rid of a lot of my items is that when I'm utilizing pickup strats, like I will a lot in this next dungeon, my inventory will get filled beyond belief. And that's because, like, in this game, you're locked to 20 items in your inventory. You can't get any more, like in later games. Because, like, in Super and Sky, and even in Gates, I think you get larger bags than 20 items. I don't know, I think they were just trying to figure out if 20 was too little or something, and they were playtesting. I don't really know, but it's something we have to work around. We just can't keep filling up our bag with items over and over and over again. I'm actually going to check the job board one more time before I go into Sinister Woods. I'm just going to play my missions very, very safe, because I want missions. Last seed wanted, I can do that. And I'm also fishing for wanted items, so I can get rid of this now, which is very good. Yeah, Sinister Woods is very, very fun, I guess. It's good to show off what the capabilities of pickup is within this dungeon. And I'm really happy that we found a route that can showcase all the good things that the Manip can bring to the table. Let me get around the Swinub for a second. Alrighty. Stairs in sight. Also, this music in Sinister Woods bops. Like most Mystery Dungeon music here. Oh, you know what? I remember what. Never mind. So I'm gonna pick up my Petrify Orb here, and what this allows us to do is change that that gloom that used to be there into a Sunflora. And then also change these other Pokemon into Cascoons, which can't move. So it just allows us to not fight as many things and to just get to the stairs as quickly as possible. I'm going to quick save again here. You saw me do this in Mount Steel, and I really kind of glossed over it because I was trying to explain so many other things happening around me at once. But the reason why I'm quick saving here again is to reset the RNG. So, like, you can quick save on any floor, and it'll reset the RNG to, like, the base number, the base seed, you can call it, and then it'll progress, like, normally from there by going through floors, and we can actually reset the seed again by quick saving again and again and again. Sometimes that's behoove of us, but remember, quick saving takes time, so we really have to, like, do a cost-benefit analysis idea on what's worth the quick save, what's worth to just take the hit of, etc, etc. So now is the Team Meanies fight. This fight is atrocious. It is, they have a lot of XP tied to them because they're very high level. So we're gonna level up at least once or twice in here. And we really have to watch out, like, who we're leveling up to. Like, if sort of levels up on the Medicham, or the Ekans, or etc., and then we have to figure out what to do from there. So now, this is the worst one. I have to turn off both moves, and I just have to 1v2 these guys. The silver lining is, of course, Gengar uses Curse, which halves his health, so we can keep using rocks. The reason why you see me using Gravelly Rocks so much in these fights is that they're really good early game items, because they do base 20 damage. No more, no less. Doesn't matter what your level is, what the other Pokemon's level is, etc, etc. They're thrown items that deal 20 damage. And in the early game, especially early game bosses, where like the Skarmory had 65 health, that I just threw 3 rocks and he was dead. I threw 4 or 5 rocks and all 3 of Team Meanies are dead. But Gravelly Rocks are like very, very good at, like, dealing DPS early game. So now, I believe I need to get... I'm trying to remember how many missions I have. Just because I need to get all 8 lined up before I go on Fugitive Segment. And if you've played this game before, you know what Fugitive Segment is. Or maybe, like, what I'm referring to. I call it Fugitive Segment because it's a very, like, easy way to remember it. So I need Tiny Woods missions. That's something I can arrange. Alrighty, and then when I go through this, I'll go through the shop again. Just to be safe and see if I can grab a warp seed to show off a very cool strat within the next couple of dungeons. So, a little context to what's going on in the story. I know I'm glossing over the story a lot, but little Shift Tree back in who knows how long ago was tasked to take Jumpluff's friend, save Jumpluff's. Save Jumpluff's friend from getting stuck on a couple of rocks, and neither of them have came back yet, which is weird. So we're gonna go investigate a little bit. I didn't even see if there was a warp seed. I doubt there was. But now we have to go clean up Shift Tree's mess, which is, you know, not optimal, but we'll deal with it, you know. I think one of the cool things I like specifically about this speedrun is that there's no dungeons that I hate. I think all of them bring something to the table in terms of a speedrunner standpoint or even a viewer standpoint. That's really cool and really interesting. But first, before we get into the dungeon, we have to watch this cutscene. Alright, and Silent Chasm is could be very, very bad in terms of time and, like, completing it in a timely setting, just because sometimes you get these floors that have very winding hallways, very small rooms, etc, etc. Also, thank you, Garth, for posting the PMD Speedrunning Community Discord. We, ooh, I need to keep that on. We made our own community Discord a while ago, just because our community was growing at a very fast rate, and it is thriving to this day. You don't have to be a runner to join it, and you just have to be interested in maybe figuring out how these games work a little better, or even running for yourself. That's enough of a pitch for my own Discord. Not my own Discord, but the community Discord. Also make sure to join the PSR Discord as well, because they're cool guys too. Ooh, did I not kill that? Okay. We'll do a little styling here. Ooh, over here. That's okay. This is not supposed to be happening, but you know, one floor messed up throughout the first, you know, hour, first 40 minutes is pretty good, especially in this kind of setting. But Silent Chasm is kind of notable for being very finicky in terms of, you know, you're usually on the brink of leveling up somewhere around here. There's so many alt strats I have to do if I level up on certain enemies, if I level up in certain spots, because that all affects how the Pokemon move. I've kind of not touched on how the RNG affects the movement of Pokemon, but the seed of the room seed, what makes up the room, doesn't really affect how the Pokemon inside of it move at any given point in time. It's really how our movement is incorporated determines. Ooh, I'm just gonna go for it. Okay. Yeah, like I was saying, our movement really determines how the other Pokemon move. So, like, in that one floor I killed the Yamna Houndour on, you saw me do a little bit of extra movement. Just to make sure that a Pokemon wouldn't be in our way through the floors. And sometimes that movement is simple, like just up one tile, down one tile, and sometimes it's a little ridiculous. But we'll get to the ridiculous stuff later, don't you worry. So now, this is a little cool thing I didn't know about this game until starting to speedrun it. This little cutscene in title is just like, you know, them saying, oh, we need to go to Zapdos' lair, basically, Mount Thunder, to go and get Shiftry back. And these three come, Team ACT, the, like, premier rescue team is just like, are you sure you want to do it? And each one individually asks you, are you sure you want to go, like, in a different way? But if you just say no to the first one, the other two don't ask. And it just progresses through that text like it happened. So that's a little speed tech. It's kind of funny, in my opinion. Like, just saying it's called sissy strats. I kind of joke around and say they're sissy strats because you're acting like a little sissy, but you're getting rewarded for it in the time save. So Mount Thunder is very, very special because this is where we're going to be picking up 2 of our 4 frustration moves that we're going to be utilizing within this run. So unlike Pokemon games, like unlike main series Pokemon games, you can learn a move more than once. So, like, you can have 4 sets of the same move if you want it. I don't know why they developed it like that, but it allows us to really break the conventions of this game because the frustration team exists. Let me find the stairs real quick. So, there obviously isn't like a happiness mechanic in this game, so we use something for like return and frustration. They use something called IQ points. And since you start off very dumb in this game, since you have 0 IQ base, frustration, which is a set move, like a set damage that does 45 damage on the lowest IQ setting, it's already the most powerful it can be right now in this instant. And just like Gravelly Rock's frustration in return doesn't get affected by defense or attack. So I'm going to be picking up some frustration teams off the ground and just teaching them straight off the ground. I don't even need to pick them up. Just so I can, like, get that going. Like, there was one right there on floor 2. If you blinked, you missed it. And there's going to be one on this next floor. And, when you link multiple frustrations together, I'm talking about linking earlier, it gets pretty broken, the amount of damage output you can do just off of frustration alone. That's a little fancy movement to get around that Stantler. Each growl over everything and get through the stairs. So now I have 2 frustrations. That's pretty good. But I kind of want to link them together. There's a boss coming up. Spoiler. Zapdos is a boss coming up. But hey, look at that. It's a link box. And using that link box allows me to just go ahead and link 2 frustration teams together. And now I have effectively a move that has 15 PP that deals, that deals 90 damage per, like, turn. At level 10, that's kind of ridiculous. I'm going to be a sissy here and save. I'm going to save at all these midpoints. A little while ago, we actually, like, re-allowed saving at midpoints in our no saving quick category, which I think is an amazing change that the mods have done, just in terms of quality of life over the years. But it also just allows me to be a little more safe with my movements. So, like, you saw like how Squirtle, someone who's super effective against the Gligar, is like how much damage they were dishing out. You know, like in the 10s, in the teens. I'm doing 90 damage a turn with frustration. And, like, you'll see how fast Zapdos kind of goes down after, even just 2 frustrations linked together. In the Wonder Mail any % route, I think we actually have 3 on our partner to help with boss fights. But, we'll do 2 and 2, 2 on our starter, 2 on our partner. To just, get through bosses. Squirtle's trying to be tough, like he's trying to get in Zapdos' face. You know, since he has that IQ skill on, I'm just gonna make him walk right. And he makes him come to me. And also, another thing I completely forgot about was that, one of the reasons why I use Squirtle, one of them is because he's pretty bulky as a base. He's, in Mystery Dungeon at least, he's probably one of the bulkier Pokemon you can find. His partner combos, at least. The other reason is that he has access to Bubble from the start. Well, from level 7, but basically from the start. And that allows us to, have something that can slow Pokemon down at will. Because Bubble has a chance to slow. And if you've never played these games before, you really, if you've played these games before, you know how broken speed is as a concept. Like, in these games, you take a turn, then your opponent takes a turn. And, that's about it. If you slow an opponent down in this game, that Pokemon, moves every other turn. So it's basically like giving your opponent Truant as an ability to kind of equate it back to main game Pokemon lines. So, yeah, Frustration, the reasons why it's amazing. It deals 45 damage no matter what attack you are, or what defense the opponent Pokemon is, and it starts at its highest base power already at 45 damage per turn. Which is crazy. But now we have, I believe we go straight to Great Canyon, which is by far has my most favorite floor in the entire game in terms of just crazy strats. So we're going straight to Great Canyon. This is, I believe, the longest dungeon we've ever came to at this point, and it shows in terms of what we can do in here to get through it. So one of the things I'm going to start doing before I go through these first four stairs is kind of check my inventory a little bit, and that allows me to really figure out how many inventory slots I have at any given point. I have enough. So, like I said, with pickup, I'm going to be grabbing items left and right, and sometimes I'm going to need some slots open in my inventory to just grab those items and not have to, you know, deal with swapping out or throwing them on the ground mid-dungeon or mid-nip. The really good thing about this manip is, like, I call it a manip, because it technically is in the grand scheme of things, but it's very easy to do. It's by far probably the easiest sort of RNG manipulation you can probably do in a video game. It's because it's not frame perfect, it's not frame dependent. However fast you do it, doesn't affect, like, the manips going forward. Just you quick save at a certain floor, and it just gives you what you want. Well, obviously not what we want, but like what we can work with. Do a little circle here to avoid that knot towel, a very cool manip. But the 11th floor is where we're going to get the most crazy manip, in my opinion. Okay. Anyway. So I'm reading my notes really quick. I gotta pick this item up and I can go through. This is the 11th floor. My roommates just walked in. But anyway, This is the 11th floor in its whole entire glory. I didn't hype it up nearly as much as I should have, but I got distracted a little bit. And there you go, that's Great Canyon. And this is what we do tickle or tackle strats. This Zatu, whatever you want to call it, is up here staring at the sun, and we need to get his attention. So we need to figure out if we should tickle him or tackle him. It's tickle or attack in the things, but if you tickle him, it takes an extra 20 seconds and is like a meme at this point. But you know, we're definitely tickling him, because that's what you do. You know, you bless the run by doing the meme strats. But yeah, after this little cutscene, we have a couple more story-driven events, a little bit of walking, and then we get to dungeon after dungeon after dungeon. So there's going to be a lot of content, a lot of mystery dungeons going into the near future. So stay tuned for that. But for right now, we have about 8 to 10 minutes of, you know, just chilling out. I can take this time to also, you can take this time possibly, you know, grab a snack, use the bathroom, or ask me some questions if you want. I'm going to continue to just kind of talk a little bit about what this, like, how this community kind of evolved into the point where it is now. Just because I think it's interesting, and I think it's worth telling. About, I want to say 2015, 2016. I can't remember exactly when, but there was a Japanese runner, I believe it was Atokiba, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he did a speedrun time of like 2 hours and 40 minutes and change, and we were like, that was ages away from what our record was then. I believe it was like a 3 hour and change, at world record at the time, and we were like, okay, is he saving 20 minutes on, you know, Japanese text alone, or is he doing something different? Is he like innovating the game in some way that we don't know yet? And we noticed that he knew exactly where the stairs was, and he was quick saving a lot, like every dungeon. So after looking at it a little bit, we figured out that this Japanese runner that we've never really like known about before, because we weren't really like interacting with the Japanese community very much, they had a completely different way, a completely new, innovative way to play the game. But we still wanted to, what's the word I'm looking for? We wanted to kind of preserve the idea of what the original intent of the speedrun was to just reactionary-based gameplay, knowing, like, risk versus reward factor. We kind of wanted to still have that a little bit in our speedruns and just not have this save and quit idea kind of dominate the leaderboards and be the only viable way of playing this game. So that was when our first leaderboard split happened. And that became the save and quit and the no save and quit category. The no save and quit categories for this game is by far the largest mystery dungeon category in terms of speedrunning. I think it has upwards of 40 or 50 like people on the leaderboards right now, which is like 2015 there was like 10. So I was like very, very, very blessed, very happy to have the community grow like that. But then around a year ago we had a realization that Wonder Mail could be utilized even better as what we've originally thought. Because we were like, okay, we can Wonder Mail on frustration teams and maybe a couple other things to help us out. But then we figured out about the Warp Scarf. I'll get into the Warp Scarf a little bit later, because it's actually going to be featured as part of this run. But the TLDR of the Warp Scarf is that we can, by moving in specific patterns, we can warp into the stairs, basically every single time. And we thought that that category while it's cool, it's it's based on one trick and one trick alone. And it's not very, I mean, it's still decently exciting to watch from a first-time viewer standpoint, but it gets stale pretty quickly. And I'm not saying this category doesn't get stale at all either. Definitely every speedrun, there's no like perfect speedrun in my opinion. There's definitely some like pluses and negatives in every single speedrun, rather it be a Pokemon game or like any other things. That's my opinion. You can take that as a grain of salt. But we wanted to kind of have that median where we're using a lot of different and interesting strats to beat the game, instead of doing this one trick over and over and over again. And that's where we decided to make the No Wonder Mail category. And that's kind of where it stood today. Huma's DS kind of went rampant on the BRT leaderboards, and I think has every single world record now, except maybe one or two niche categories. But there's still a ton of competition to try to get to that point. And even with him and himself, he just recently got, I believe, sub 231 in No Wonder Mail, or not No Wonder Mail, in no quick saves, which is an insane time. But yeah, we're almost done with this long and arduous little cutscene segment. Oh no, he got sub 230. Congrats to that man. So now good old meanie Gengar is back. He's accusing us of causing the Earth to destroy itself, which, hey, newsflash, this Earth is kind of like, you know, getting hit by a meteor soon. There's a lot of weird stuff happening inside the Earth. We really don't know why. But there's this old fable that it's because a human came into this world from the human world and is messing everything up. I wonder who's a human that's came into the Pokemon world. Wait, it's us. Now Gengar's like, this man's a human. I know. I heard from Xatu, and we need to get rid of him. Which is unfortunate, because these guys are really nice guys, and they don't want to kill us, but they feel like they have to. No spoilerino. Free. I will not spoil anything past the end credit cutscene of this game, because like the post game is so much content. I personally love the post game of this run or of this game more than I like the main game, just because of the variety of more dungeons and content we can do. Whoa. Sad music number 1. This theme about to come up here is actually one of my all-time favorite Mystery Dungeon musics. Just because like it tugs at my heartstrings every time, honestly. Because we are getting run out of house and home. I'm fugitives. This is the fugitive segment I keep talking about. And all our friends come. All of our 4 friends, 5 friends come. And they just want to see us off. They woke up so early to come and see us off. It's just Bible thumps in the chat, everybody. Now we are fugitives. How sad and cool. But now we're right into many more dungeons to come. which is nice. Lapis Cave is the first one coming up. And Lapis Cave really gives you an idea of how badly this game could be broken if, like, stuff gets optimized correctly. Like, if Lapis Cave has a lot of times where we don't fight enemies. I think we fight 1, maybe 2 enemies in the whole entire 15-floor dungeon. Outside the first floor, of course. Yeah, Lapis Cave kind of shows how badly this game can be broken at times by just a simple quick save. This actually used to be the site of the first monumental route change. Well, there used to be a facade TM in here, and we theorized that facade could help supplement Tackle's damage output until we got double slap inside the manipulated route. Because we're level 11 right now. We could be like level 11, 12 with Skitty in tow. But now that we're now that we have frustration at our miss, we really don't have to worry about that much. Oh well. Literally, I have never done that in my life. Like, never messed up that badly on that specific floor. Yeah. New stuff happens every day. That is the facade TM that I just walked by. We used to teach it. But now, we blinked and we're almost at a Lapis Cave. So that is like a good introductory into what's to come, because now we have 3 dungeons with 3 peaks back to back to back, with only like save states and like storage boxes to access. Can't go back to the shop, can't go back to the job board. And this is why it was so important for me to grab my missions when I did, really early into the game. So, Mount Blaze is probably my least favorite dungeon, purely because it's, pretty straightforward. There's nothing super duper special about it until we get to the peak. When we get into the peak, the difficulty and the amount of variance that the 4-1s can give you really starts to ramp up in terms of survivability, even, because if you remember, I was talking about how busted multi-hit moves are doing multi-hit moves are in the game. And there's Pokemon in these next couple of peaks that have multi-hit moves. So like they can take multiple seeds at a time. Just if they decide to use Fairy Attack on you or not. And you can't manipulate the first floors at all. So that's really hard to predict when we're gonna do what, or like even like how we manage our items, etc., you know. Oh boy. Okay, cool. That was a little bit of a screw up, but it didn't cost much, you know. It's not very, very tragic. The general trend with these movements, that the further you are into the game. Oh, by the way, that's the whole entirety of the first part of Mount Blaze. But usually the farther you get into the speedruns, the more the harder it gets to recover from simple movement mistakes. I got a really lucky floor, like just in terms of floor variance and spawn layout, because Usually there's like 2 different sets of different types of floors you can get. You can get ones with really big spread out rooms like this, or you can get ones with really small rooms. The latter is very undesirable just because it could be hard to find the stairs that way. You can cover a lot more ground because when you walk into a room in the minimap, it shows the whole room all at once. So, in like world record attempts setting, Moltres is actually a fork in figuring out what you need to do with your reviver seeds. I haven't lost a seed, I don't think, the entire game, but there's 2 different strats. There's 2 different strats that we can do. One that costs 1 reviver seed and one that costs 0 reviver seeds. I'm gonna do the one that costs 0 reviver seeds, and it utilizes a lot of slowing down the opponent, as you see him utilizing Bubble again. And this actually is 16 seconds slower than doing what I would call YOLO strats, which would be just running up to Moltres and spamming Frustration, which is actually the faster method, the 1 reviver seed strat. But this is a more safe strat. Moltres doesn't kill anybody, and it allows us to get off without wasting reviver seeds, which is something I want to prioritize right now, at least. Alrighty. There's a little cutscene, little Moltres spewing up fire, staying this there, everywhere. And then he lets us be. After speech equals 100 play by Squirtle, you're let free. So after Mount Blaze, we go straight into the frosty region of Frosty Forest, excuse me. As you can see, there's a little bit of a legendary bird theme going on here. So guess who's waiting for us at the top of Frosty Forest? You guessed it, Articuno. And Articuno definitely is the worst out of the 3 in terms of fighting. Purely because Articuno has access to Powdered Snow, which is a room range move. There's many different types of moves in this game. One of the worst ones to get hit by is a room range move, which is a move that no matter where you are in the room, it'll affect the whole entire room. And just because of our level difference and Articuno just being ice and very powerful, Powdered Snow usually one-shots it. Like, there's no doubt that I would lose 2 reviver seeds if I let Articuno hit me with Powdered Snow. So in that case, Articuno is very scary. The order of the 3 really it's very arbitrary. I don't know why they did it in that order, but who knows? All we know is Frosty Forest is coming up, and Frosty Forest actually will be the site to getting our 3rd frustration team. So, Squirtle's kind of lagging behind. He can't really help us out in boss fights anymore, just because he doesn't have the power to. Because if you saw him last game, or last boss fight, he was doing like 9 damage a turn, give or take, and that's not very optimal. So we're gonna help our buddy out and get him a frustration team in this dungeon, but that requires me doing a decent chunk of quick saving, taking off items, all that good stuff that I talked about earlier on this run. So let me just check. I need to clear out space, so I'm gonna throw that. I should have cleared out space beforehand. But you live, you learn, you know? Throw out the stuff that I don't need, particularly. And this is when, like, some movements get very precise. Like, it doesn't look like that floor was really anything, but if I moved in a different pattern right there, I would have had to fight a ferret. And ferrets are deadly in this game, because normal type, the general trend with Mystery Dungeon is that stab moves are pretty broken. And, ferret being a normal type, having access to, quick attack, which is a 2-turn, like, spacing move, is very, very, dangerous. Also, this is the only time in the whole game where we have to mash A and B. The really nice thing about this game is that if you hold the B button, it'll auto-progress text within cutscenes and within other stuff. Which is why I like to hold the B button a lot. But this, anyway, that's just like a good quality of life thing that I really, really like about this game. Just like the other ones, I'm going to teach it off the ground so I don't have to put it in my inventory. Because if you look closely, it leaves a TM behind, which is called a used TM, which is something you really don't want. So, I'm gonna pull chat for this one really quick. Who's Absol fans right now? Like, who likes the Pokemon Absol? Just wondering. Also, these Rhyhorns have Fury Attack, which is very scary. Alrighty. So I'm seeing a lot of good things about Absol. Let me tell you a really quick story about my friend Miss Staldy. He's a PMD runner, and he was on a very, very good time until Absol came along. And to not spoil too much, Absol basically completely destroyed his run. It made so he couldn't finish, and it was very like heart-wrenching to watch that unfold. So yeah, that's about my thoughts with Absol too. So if we'll see what happens with Absol. But enough about Absol, we're going to be talking about Articuno right now. I'm going to be doing something very interesting, and I'm going to be turning off my partner's linked moves. Yo, yeah, Absol canonically brings disasters. So I don't know about that much. But anyway, I'm going to go into here, turn off his linked moves for a second, and move in a very specific manner. The reason why I turned off his link moves is that so he uses frustration 100% of the time. And that just allows us to have a bigger damage output. And kill the Articuno on, I believe, 3 turns. It just gives him less time to, like, you know, possibly use Powdered Snow on its 4 turns. Excuse me. Alright, so, just like all the other birds, Articuno doesn't freaking believe us either that we, like, aren't the one causing our disasters. They're so confined in their own bubbles. But, we're about going round 2, anybody? Going for round 2. Wait, I'm so sorry. Ooh. And of course, Absol's the one to dig us out of this hole that we found ourselves in. And he's been watching us for a while, so he kind of wants to, you know, join us for a little bit. if this text all progress. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time before I go into the last dungeon of this little segment to really get into the nitty-gritty of what items I really need, what items I don't need. I really don't need max elixirs, like, really at all. I'll keep an apple on me for security's sake. Mostly because there's like 1 or 2 spots in here that I might need an apple for if I get really bad RNG. I've never really had to eat an apple in this specific category ever, but it's nice to, you know, just have a backup one. But, like, the one thing about this game, I guess this game and, Time Darkness Sky, is that you can get a long way with Reviver Seeds. Purely because if you die with a Reviver Seed, your elixir, your PP from the moves get restored, your belly gets restored. So, a lot of the times when I would play this game casually for the first time, I just load my inventory with 20 Reviver Seeds. And it's not much different in the speedrun setting, honestly. Sometimes you just want to keep those Reviver Seeds for, like, BS RNG that happens. Or you just can tank the loss and go on with your life. And I'm gonna want to clear my inventory because I'm gonna have a good amount of opportunity to get these Reviver Seeds inside of this dungeon that I find myself in this time. So let's go here. Smash this. I need this. I need one of these. Okay, and then you see Absol. We don't need him. One thing that was recently figured out or found, I say recently, but this was probably known for a long time at this point, was the ability to send Absol home. I will not be grabbing that TM. Mostly because I don't want to fight that Shelgon. So here's a link box I'm gonna pick up just to I'll use that later at some point. Also don't need that orange berry. So I'm like, at this point in the game, I got a pretty good setup going, and I'm really only gonna go out of my way to pick up things I need, and the things I need are like Reviver Seed. That's about it at this point in the game. And of course, like, you know, frustration TMs, if I can find any more. Which we will find one more, but that'll be probably 30 minutes at least away. It's a shame that, like, certain Pokemon are restricted to the starter or partner slots. For example, Psyduck is a starter-only Pokemon. Because Cloud9 is an ability that would get rid of this snow coming up and wasting our time, but Psyduck's bad as a starter, so we just can't do it. So here, since I got a pickup to activate on this turn, I can find 2 Reviver Seeds on the ground going into the last floor of Mount Freeze. Also, I also have to remember to take Absol off the team here. Or face the wrath of Absol. Let's do a little bit of inventory management. Good, good, good. Of course I get like a bad... Ooh, stairs. So it's arguable if we should quick save here or not. Because I believe people have gotten gold splits that are faster than this quick save split. But on average, it's like Tiny Woods on average. It's just faster. I guess it's the inverse of Tiny Woods. It's faster to quick save here on average. That's just what we do. the reason why we don't let Absol go into these dungeons, by the way, is that a third party member just creates a lot of clunk and movement. So like if you have 2 Pokemon, it's really easy for the second Pokemon, the partner, to just follow the starter, do whatever the starter does. But for 3 Pokemon, it kind of, because of how IQ skills and tactics work in this game, or at least the base, like follow me, or the let's go together, I think is exactly what it's called, let's go together tactics, is that with a third Pokemon, usually that third Pokemon lags behind and just creates really awkward movement scenarios. So, we just let Absol, like, not fight in the dungeons. And also, there's the chance of, you know, Absol going off on its own and killing Reviver Seeds, because at this point, part of what I did in the first dungeon of the game was optimize my tactics, my IQ skills, and my moveset, turning on and off moves, that is, to make sure that my partner won't be going out of his way to fight anything. And Absol doesn't have those things defaulted on, so I would have to go into the menu and turn it on and turn it off accordingly for Absol, and that's just really slow. So it's just easier for Absol to just get let go, and us not to deal with that IQ changing around stuff. Also, funny enough, the amount of Pokemon in your party at any given time also affects how the Pokemon inside the forest move. For whatever reason, I believe it's just because, you know, more things are being checked or less things are being checked, or like there's something changing with a third one. For a third one to come along, it'll just slightly change the RNG to a thing that we haven't tracked yet, or we have tracked but isn't optimized yet. So like, yeah, it's possible to like send Absol in, but it's significantly slower and just a more pain in the rear end. You know what I mean? But we are off a fugitive segment now. Now that we are back into town, we have a couple of things to tie together. We have, first of all, let's see to sit through. Which if there's one thing that I dislike about this speed game, as a speed game, is that it has a lot of downtime, which for a chill setting, like my own channel, my own speedruns, is very beneficial sometimes, just so I can do whatever and just chill out. But sometimes it's especially if I'm burnt out or I'm getting close to burning out, it could be frustrating to sit in and just doing whatever. I just like how Absol sits in the back of all this happening. He's just like, who are you guys? What's going on? That Gengar guy isn't... The Gengar guy is kind of killing my vibe right now. I don't know what's going on here. Now that we're a little settled back in, we get to do our favorite thing. More missions. Yeah, I'm good. Now after a little bit of this exposition, whatever, we can go back. Get the story rolling again. The cool thing about, this manipulation is that no matter what state of the game you're in, as long as you're keeping the conditions the same inside the dungeon, the dungeon mechanics won't change at all. So, like, I'm going to go back into Thinowave Cave for my, I believe, my second time this run. And after I quick save, which is hopefully... Okay, good miss, good miss. Good low roll for no... This Thunderwave Cave 4-1 is not doing me very, very well right now, if you ask me. Anyway, as I was saying, after I quick save here, like the second floor, the third floor, etc., conditions will be the exact same, which is very helpful for really understanding what I can do when and in what scenarios make certain moves better. I can look back at like any other time in terms of a routing standpoint, and like as long as I keep these two things the same, it'll always act the same. They're definitely throwing a rock there. Okay. So you can kind of look to see what kind of things change how get over here. Yeah, what kind of things can change how the Pokemon around you move. I had to kind of go out of my way a little bit to find that, or like reprove that Rattata. That's because I used Frustration on that. Okay. I hit no by mistake. Anyway, so long story short, that Rattata was in a different spot than I believe the Voltorb or whatever I rescued the first time was. The first time, because I accidentally used Frustration on that Geodude instead of like a scratch, and checking for a critical hit, something that you have to do like every time a Pokemon, like a move goes through, is something that can affect how the Pokemon move, believe it or not. And Frustration doesn't check for that critical hit because it's a base 45 damage, if you remember. So, because of that, just a crit doesn't get checked, and that way we can move around in an interesting way. Anyway, just a little more exposition. We're gonna get a very interesting group of pair of individuals come to our doorstep tomorrow, and I'm sure you will enjoy what comes of that. So right now we're just kind of twiddling our thumbs because Team ACT, the premier team, just went to Groudon's lair to try to figure out what the earthquakes are going on. And they haven't come back yet, so we're just kind of waiting for them to come back. And now these two come to our door. Why not in Wobbuffet? This latter of which only says Wobbuffet. A little callback to, I don't know. But anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, they told us to go to the mission board, and they want us to find this job right here, the Punish Bad Mankeys, Upper Forest Floor 10 mission. What this does, it allows us to go into the dungeon Upper Forest, and that's very important because we need to complete Upper Forest, and then do an additional thing to unlock the last couple of dungeons in the storyline. And this is Upper Forest is the no save and quit runner's nightmare, because it's purely 100% RNG if you have to go there one time, 2 times, or even more than 2 times, honestly. And that's because the chestnut exists. The chestnut's an item that we'll find later is a very important item for progressing through the story. And we need to collect 2 chestnuts, and they only spawn on the 9th floor of this dungeon. So in order to make sure we can get through the game, we have to manipulate both chestnuts to be on the 9th floor, instead of, you know, only 1 or even 0 chestnuts being there. So this dungeon is pretty straightforward up until we get to that 9th floor, where we're going to have to do some very interesting and, let's say, unique movement in order to get around it. So here's the fabled 9th floor. The pickup helps us a little bit. It gives us a frustration, or it gives us a picked up chestnut. And here's a second one. There's actually a 3rd one in here somewhere. But we don't need the 3rd one since we already have 2. There's no need to get a 3rd one. And these aren't special Mankey in any way, shape, or form. They're literally just standard Mankey that you can find in the dungeon. But there's 3 of them. So we just kind of mow them down with frustration. That's all good. And that is Upper Forest, everybody. And the reason why these chestnuts are so important to us right now, that these Mankeys love chestnuts. They absolutely love chestnuts. But they can't peel them because the chestnuts are so hard and they're weird human-like hands. They can't open the chestnuts without hurting themselves. So they want our chestnuts. We want a built base. We're gonna do a little bada bing bada boom action and just kind of, you know, have them help us build our new and improved base. So now we just have a little bit of extra things to do. Just give them the chestnuts. I kind of have to inventory manage a little bit to just get in and go about our getting the chestnuts from us, because I think both me and my partner are actually physically holding the chestnuts right now instead of having them in our bag. And we can't talk to the Mankey without the chestnuts being in physically. Let's go here a little bit. I don't need these. I really don't need this anymore. They're fake. This is definitely the slower option. I should have inventory managed beforehand, but the foresight not great with this today. And we just have to repeat this one more time for our base to be fully realized and amazing. And that is the completed base, Meowth head and all, with the tail and the The mailbox. Oh man, this game is great. I love this game. But now that we have this all squared away, we have the most daunting mission day of all. The four mission day. So if you've kind of been noticing, I've been going to Tiny Woods whenever I need 2 missions. I've been going to Thunderwave Cave when I'm going to 3 missions, and now there's a reason for that, and that's because that is the most amount of missions I can do, or that can spawn on the board for those 2 dungeons. So for the 4 missions, I have a couple options. I can go to those multiple times, or I can go to Mount Steel and do all 4 of them at once. Or that option, going to Mount Steel, is the faster one, obviously. I'm gonna kite these guys in. That was totally unnecessary, but I wanted to do it anyway. Do I have enough spots? 1. I should. I don't, and that's a problem. I have too many reviver seeds. Yeah, I definitely do. So this looks a little familiar. This is gonna look very similar to the last time I went through here. But now, now that there are rescue objectives on certain floors, some of the floors will change slightly. So even though that these are the exact same floor layouts, if there is an objective on any floor, sometimes the Pokemon move in very weird ways, and this is a very hard floor, so I'm gonna try to focus a little bit. This is probably one of the more technically complicated floors in this game, just in terms of execution. And then this one's really cool because then the guy's just gonna spawn right next to me. Usually there's like someone in there. But now we can just leave because we have all 4 of us done. We had the near 4-5 that we picked up earlier. We had the 4-3, 6, and the 4-7. And just like that, we are almost done with missions, everybody. I have a 2 mission to do after we obtain these rewards. And then we're completely done with missions for the entire game. Now Ombre has like stormed us, saying, "Hey, we need to go. We need to go into the town to look at this crazy event that happened." And now Lombre's just like, you know what, even though you guys want to go and like progress the story and all, I really don't want you to, so go off and do your own thing for a little bit, okay? Okay. And now we just have a lot of cutscene to watch before we get to play the video game. And now it is about to go into the base of everything. At this point, we're so overpowered for these dungeons anymore. It's just like a formality to get through this anymore. Hi, Ziggy. How's it going, buddy? And then the Voltorb. Alright, so now that all the boring stuff is over with, like I love this section, but I can't not say that it is not the like most impressive part of the run. We can get into the very fun stuff. That is Magma Cavern and Sky Tower. These two are they're the final two dungeons of the game in terms of their main story, so they're gonna be upping the ante in terms of difficulty, and also in terms of the crazy strats we're going to use here. Magma Cavern is the first time we'll ever find a Warp Scarf in the wild, but like not in the shop. So we're going to go find one of them, and we're going to have a good time with the Warp Scarf. But first we have to actually get into Magma Cavern, and that is through this cutscene and going up and out into the world. Now that everyone's down and out, we're gonna go and save the day and be like, yes, we're gonna do it. Yeah, you know this dungeon's hard stuff if freaking Blastoise and Octillery can't get through it like me. Just pulling up my notes here, making sure I got everything in order, because this is... I haven't really needed a ton of notes up until this point, but this is definitely a dungeon where notes coming out is definitely a good thing. Just make sure that everything's going smoothly and I remember everything. Alrighty, I'm ready, Squirtle. I just want to get into the dungeon so much. I hope you guys are excited as I am about Magma Cavern. It's gonna be a real treat, I tell you what. Now is the time. So one of the interesting things about Mount McCavern is that we're going to be quick saving a lot in the early parts of the dungeon, and right now I'm going to have to decide where I should do that. I think since... Let me look real quick. Finding an item here doesn't help with my item management either. Alright, I'm here. Push that down. Throw that. Place that. Place that. How much? 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I need to toss one more. I'm tossing this already. Quick save. Here it is. Now that I have a crap ton of reviver seeds, I'm ready to set up and get ready to go into the bulk of this dungeon. We always start off with a lot of Pokemon being thrown at us. We can't really do anything about this except, you know, maybe not quick save on the first floor, but I'm a safety guy. How many Petrify Orbs do I have? 2. I'm actually not going to quick save here, and I'm going to show off a little bit of a Petrify Orb strat. Petrify Orb this mass of people, and then I can go straight to the stairs here. And then the fun starts. You're wasting a little bit of tiles here with that. Going out of my way to clear Pokemon out of a specific room. You're going to be seeing a lot of that here in this dungeon specifically, where I go in and out of a room, or maybe waste some tiles like that. Just get to a point where I can get into the stairs without actually hitting anybody. Common technique in this dungeon. And then, like, I've been doing this all game, so I don't know why I'm bringing it up now, but, like, you know, just generally running away from enemies is always a thing that we're going to try attempts to do. It's very prevalent in this dungeon because there's just a crap ton of Pokemon spawning every which way. Right here is where I'm actually going to get my last frustration team, and I'm actually going to pick it up with Pickup, which is a very interesting idea in itself. And I'm actually going to get rid of all my linked moves on Squirtle. We don't really need them anymore. I'm going to place... I'm actually going to use this link box really quick. Squirtle. Just so I can get everything squared away and together. I don't have to worry about it going into anything else. So coming up here, the run is going to get busted wide open because of Warp Scarf. When you see what I'm going to be doing with the Warp Scarf, you're gonna your jaw is going to start dropping. I'm actually going to take a seed here because I'm going to start warping around, and Squirtle just can't handle it by himself. I apologize, Squirtle. But all of my warping around is calculated and predicted, so everything I'm doing in here has been practiced and been routed out to be 100% safe as long as I do the exact movement that the game entails me to do, excuse me. And now let's have some fun, shall we? Oh wait, one more floor, excuse me. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's have some fun here. So, in an actual speedrunning setting like world record attempts, you would have had to make a very important decision here, and is, do I use the Warp Scarf in here or not? I've still equipped the Warp Scarf, so I can rather take it off and try to move around as a unit, or just try to warp around everywhere and try to find the stairs that way. I think with the larger rooms, it's actually better to try to just warp around. See, because I found it here and I can just go straight through. The reason why I don't quick save here in specific the only floor 1, or the second floor 1 that I don't quick save on, is because this is only a 1-floor dungeon. There's the first floor, and then there's this cutscene for the second floor, and then there's the boss. We could quick save to manipulate Groudon to how we like, but there really isn't a good way to get Groudon to do what we want. And Groudon usually, like, he starts super far away, and really isn't a huge threat to us now at this point in the game, because we have so many Reviver Seeds. We're doing 180 damage a turn. So we're just gonna hope for the best here. I haven't seen, the worst Groudon I've seen in recent memory with this route has been like 2 Reviver Seeds lost. That's because Groudon usually attacks like 2 to 3 times within this fight. So we'll see how this goes. If I wanted to be really safe, I could have thrown Gravelly Rocks at him, but I really don't know how many Gravelly Rocks I have on him, or on me right now, and I need one for Sky Tower. So I'm going to keep that in mind going into this fight. And there's Groudon. Down, and... oh, it's for the count. And now we have a little bit more exposition, a little bit more of understanding what's going on here. Groudon, kind of like, we know there's an asteroid coming down into the Earth, and we need to stop the asteroid. And the only way to do that is to go to Rayquaza. Yes, Rayquaza, however you want to pronounce it. And it's hard to get to Rayquaza, man. He's in the top of Sky Tower, and there's really only one option of trying to get into Sky Tower, and that is getting Xatu and Alakazam to make us a teleportation crystal in order for us to get into Sky Tower. I've seen it pronounced both ways, Rayquaza or Rayquaza. I personally say the first one, but that's okay. The important thing is that this freaking asteroid's about to hit us, and we need to do something about it. So we will saddle up, we will get ready, then we will go on our merry way to Sky Tower in the morning, I believe. Now, already, last hurrah, final night of the day. Let's hope nothing bad happens during the final night of the final day. That'd be tragic. I know, no, why is it dark? Why am I feeling like garbage? It's your boy Gengar. Your boy Gengar trying to screw everything up again. Oh, baby. What is it? This is Gardevoir sweeping away everything. And experiencing tranquility. Yeah, Sky Tower's the final dungeon, and really the first dungeon we'll be able to see Warp Scarf be utilized in its full effect. Because we saw the potential of Warp Scarf within Magma Cavern a little bit. And now it's time to fully utilize it within a specific dungeon. The last dungeon. Oh yeah, and oh man, Sky Tower OST is another top 5 OST in this game. Maybe like top 5 all time for me, honestly. We'll actually get to hear it for its full effect. We'll be in Sky Tower, a good view at 25 floors. And we're off. And now it's... Oh yes. This was tea. So I've been collecting these random orbs throughout the game, and just like kind of stockpiling, like, you know, warp orbs, a petrify orb. You saw me use a petrify orb in Magma Cavern, but you're gonna see me use a lot more orbs in this dungeon specifically, just because it works out better that way. And now this is the reason why we have a rock for this guy right here. Shuppets are super scary because they can delink your moves with spite if you, oh no, hold up. Let's just, okay, hold up. Looking at the wrong column of my dang notes, you dummy. And this is why Shuppets are scary. Nightshade, Spite, all the above. Actually, I'm gonna sit here for a little bit before going through. So I have the health going back in there. I apologize. I'm just bad. And you can kind of see, like, the risk-reward factor of the Ward Scarf, too. Like, how... your movements have to be, like, super on point to even, like, be able to use this effectively, you know? Like, in specific for, like, that floor, there's hail, there's so many, like, factors, and you have to, really, like, know what your health is for you to, be able to utilize that correctly. I'm just gonna... I have to equip something there, so let's just equip the plain seed. This is a scary floor. Usually you take a seat here. You just kind of do it though, because you have to. And I think this is a fun little room because it shows the ability of Warp Scarf to go places. And then I'm regular attacking there to make sure I don't warp when I get onto the stairs. Sometimes that happens if you move in certain ways, you get undesirable results. So we just, like, a regular attack is good. And just kind of knowing where everything is. And that is the first part of Sky Tower. I'm saving here because I am. No matter how many like reps you put into this game, the summit's still scary, especially the first floor of it. I agility spamming person. Literally everything is scary in this dungeon, like in specific. Now, petrified time. Just scroll up. Let me make sure I do this movement correct. This is the worst. This is the most weird, like, precise movement in the game, just in terms of walking in weird patterns. I had to remember where this was. Not gonna lie. Alrighty, now all that's standing between us and them and the finish of this run is this sky snake dragon thingy. Let's just call it a sky dragon. That's what it is. And since I have some time, I'm gonna do a very interesting strat that utilizes tactics in a very interesting way. There might have been a slight chance of stuff going wrong, but that's okay. Oh, that is very bad. Crazy's Dragon Dance. Oh, that is very bad. Let's just roll with it. We'll see what happens. I tried to style on with tactics and it just kind of went very downhill, but hey, that's what Reviver Seeds are for, you know? Very much so Reviver Seeds. This is a very monk-ass fight, I'm not gonna lie. And anyway, that is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. We Rescue Team. Thank you guys for staying with me the run. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed my little commentary to go along with it. Traditionally, how these runs turn out is we wait until the end credit scenes start playing. But based on time, based on everything else, we can always end early as well, adding the organizers. I guess this is a little bit of time I can plug a couple of people, a couple of things. Because of my situation with school and my living quarters, I cannot really stream very easily, unfortunately. I want to point you guys to some really cool PMD creators. Of course, if you want to follow me, feel free to when I can. I try to stream PMD or Pokemon in general. But the people I really want you to go check out is Mozzarella Cheese and Whom is DS. These two are very, very proficient PMD players. And Mozzarella Cheese in specific has done a lot of work surrounding routing of various categories and everything in between. He's a very cool person, very chill streamer. So yeah, if you want more PMD content, strongly advise you to follow those two, and also join the PMD community Discord for speedrunning. Garfield put it in the chat earlier, but we can I can find it again and put it in the chat again. It's open to anybody who is interested in Pokemon speedrunning, for Pokemon machines and speedrunning in general. You don't have to be a runner. All we ask of you is to enjoy the Mystery Dungeon series, and also enjoy the speedruns of the Mystery Dungeon series. It's a little hub for all of us. I really like to see you there if you enjoyed this run or enjoyed like PMD in general. But also, I want to stress this more than enough, that the PSR Discord is also a very inviting place, a very welcoming place. If you have any questions with any Pokemon speedruns, that is a place to go. They know so much more than anyone else on the planet, I would say, about Pokemon speedrunning. So if you want to know more about Pokemon speedrunning in general, if you saw this just on your Twitch feed and you're interested on what is this whole community about, that's a really good place to start. And that's exclamation Discord in chat, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, I have been Likeanoob, and this has been Mystery Dungeon, and I think I am gonna let the mods and organizers of this marathon take it away from here. Or maybe I won't. You can't get rid of me, guys. Can't get rid of me. But this is definitely my favorite. This is a good moment in the retrospective Mystery Dungeon series. This is just like, this is a lot of people's favorite moment. Going away. We don't know if we'll ever see any of these people again. I will thump, cry, sit in our bed for a couple hours, couldn't off the ending, good conscious. I see, I understand. But this isn't a bad run. This will be like a 2. Really good for a D-Rush. Or a marathon safe run, not D-Rust, what am I? And time will be coming up at this white screen. Right about now. I hope you guys enjoyed this journey with me. I hope you enjoy the rest of PSR Marathon. I hope you have enjoyed everything up until this point. very much appreciate my ability to be on PSR for the 3rd time, I believe, doing Mystery Dungeon for you guys. Very much an honor. I very much hope to come back at some point and do another run for you.